Wrestling's a thing. Pitches are a thing as well. And this time, we're not doing pitches for a pay-per-view at the old weekend or anything. We're doing 9 pitches for wrestling in 2025.
Fix the business.
Yes, we can do it. We're the 3 greatest... You look very earnest there. That's good. Yeah.
I've put a lot of thought into these today.
Yeah, we're wanting to fix the business in the new year. And what better way than by pooling our 3 very genius brains together and coming up with 9 wonderful solutions for wrestling in 2025. It's been a year of division. Everyone's unhappy, isn't
That's every year.
That's just everybody.
All right, then, fair
it?
enough. I thought particularly this year has been a year of division, but actually no, it's been this way for a few years now, hasn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
if they implement all of our ideas, then maybe in 2025 it'll be solved and everyone can live harmoniously. How you feeling about it?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, closer to death. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Is this before the New Year or after the New Year?
I didn't check the schedule. I assume I think it's New Year's Day.
Oh,
Happy New
fantastic!
Year.
NYD got a big party later. Can't wait.
Come on. How are you feeling as well?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm looking forward to these pitches because I've heard through the grapevine that we've got a mixture of vague general ideas for wrestling.
Well, I've taken a holistic approach to the business.
And then I've heard that there's some specific ones as well.
Yeah, I reckon you've got an angle or two, haven't you?
You need an angle.
You bloody love an angle.
You love an angle.
You filthy man.
We're gonna go around in a circle if you've never seen this before. Ross, then Andrew, then myself, then that 3 times, and we'll be left with 9 wonderful pitches for professional wrestling in 2025. It's not what we necessarily maybe think's gonna happen. It's
what we want to happen.
Nah.
Let's go, Ross. Let's go.
So as I say, I've taken a holistic approach. I've got one for the WWE, one for the AEW, and one for the wrestling as a whole in 2025. The first one we're going for is for the WWE, and it's timely with the Rumble just around the corner and visions of Seth Rollins sat there in his skybox going, meh, oh, the Tron told me.
I know what this is. I know what this is now.
Sort the music out! For Pete's sake. Sorry, Joel, with headphones on and headphone users around the world. Def Rebel have been with the WWE since 2019, and the amount of good themes that myself and Andrew found out on a tier list not too long ago can be counted on 2 hands, maybe 3. For me, and that's not very many in 5, 6, 7 years.
No, and with the amount of people that are on the roster as well.
Going on 6 years. I had to do the quick mental maths.
Yeah.
There. Great maths. Carol Vorderman. Anyway, for me, they just don't understand the assignment when it comes to wrestling themes. You want something that's instantly recognizable for that pop factor, something that's related to the gimmick of the wrestler it's for. You look at glaring examples like the Creed's theme before they were in American Made. New Catch
Republic.
Raise your fist.
Raise your fist.
For the Motor City Machine Guns, I could go on. They just don't get it, Death Rebel. Exactly.
We are
Crap. On top of that, their sound is so distinctive to them that most of their themes literally sound like they were made by the same people, which they were, but back in Jim Johnston's day, you wouldn't know, would you? You wouldn't know. Like no other wrestling music producer before them, Def Rebel, have too many tropes to make up their themes. Horns, drum rolls, stop-start intros. I could go on, but I won't.
Saying the name of the people sometimes.
At the start, yes.
Yeah.
So many tropes. I never want to advocate for people losing their jobs, but one of the best things about wrestling, the entrance themes, is literally being robbed from generations of wrestling fans right now. Literal generations. Do we expect these kids to grow up and get nostalgic when they hear the Authors of Pain theme that doesn't even flow from intro to verse? You know what I'm talking about?
I can't think.
Awful.
I'll need to listen to that. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Just 2 different songs mashed together. It's terrible. WWE used to win awards for their compilation albums. I want to see a return to that. Where it be we get Jim Johnston back in on an interim basis. We used to be the music guy. There's no doubt he's sat at home now, smoking his pipe, whatever he does, sat on 20 bangers that he's not been able to use because he's not the music guy right now. Or maybe even just get some licensed themes. We're making more money than ever in the WWE. Let's spend some. As Cody Rhodes says, spend some now, make more later. Something needs to change in 2025. They need to get the M back in, and the M stands for music.
I was like, wait, Jim doesn't start with an M.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Jim.
Jim.
Yeah, it's the music. I've had enough.
You're right.
It's a change.
You're right. It's a big yes from me straight away. I can't think of anything to add You've covered it all. Actually, one thing, he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, is he, Jim Johnson?
No, he's not.
He definitely should
The
be.
biggest glaring omission, I would say.
Injustice right there.
But, you know, Trump is and Arnold is. Not Jim.
Not Jim.
What's
Jim done?
Can anybody tell me who's sleeping with who?
That's later in the... So, yeah.
It's a DX theme, everybody.
Oh,
no, Triple H is my time, sorry.
Out to the master. Oh, break it down.
Fred Durst's version of...
Big, thank you. Big yes. Why would it not be a big yes? And do you know what? I was thinking there, like, I don't even think it's... When you were like, will the kids grow up being nostalgic for these songs? And obviously I can't necessarily speak for the children of this generation, but I don't think so. It doesn't even feel like a generational...
I can't speak for the children
speak for them.
of this generation.
But it's... I don't even think it's a generational thing in terms of like the music that they've got now is what it is because of the music of this times, if you know what I mean. It's like, it's just...
Computers.
It's just poo, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really bad.
We sound so old.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
true.
no, I think you can't look at WWE's music now compared to the olden days and say that it's objectively better because it's just not.
No.
A big warning sign for me was when they took away AJ Styles' very good theme, and I couldn't even hum his current one.
It's just background noise.
Yeah.
We've got the same guy who does solos doing their lyrics on AJ's as well. That's how it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can't even remember. It does sound like white noise.
Yeah.
If you sit and
By
listen to
disclosure.
it, you can depict things, but in an arena, it all just blends into the background, yeah.
I can see, as you mentioned, I can see this becoming another talking point when the Rumble rolls around.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be, I don't think enough has changed since
That's
last
the
year.
thing.
It's, gonna be the
It's
same.
not the songs anymore. It's like instantly look at the Tron thing on the ring and see what name pops up
But
on
then
the thing.
you get an entrance like the Motor City Machine Guns, which has raised your fists 3 or 4 times.
Raise your fists.
But then the Tron's got nothing on. It's got the explosions happening. So you're waiting for the intro to finish, which is 30 seconds, and then the Tron to change, which is even
Bang!
longer.
Yes.
They-
No point to the hands.
The two lads look uncertain when they're waiting. Like, when do we?
Yeah.
When do we bang?
It's like
Yeah.
when
That's
Tom's
the one.
waiting for the door to lock next door, and even for the news video.
That's
Just
never
every
in.
time.
That's never in a video though.
He loves it.
He does love doing that,
He
but
does
it's
love
never
it.
in a.
I've seen him nail it once in 5 years.
I think I might have done as well.
Have you
Just
asked
the one
all?
time, yeah.
People won't know what we're talking about here
Boom.
because before we start recording news, the door is on like a latch, and then you need to wait maybe 10 seconds
Yeah.
for it to go click. And Tom likes to play a game with himself in the mornings when he's waiting. Bang. So he often misses it.
My
so.
favorite one is when there's the like he's counting down and he's like I'm locked in and then it's way off.
That's great, that isn't it?
That's one of my favorite bits.
We all need to make our own fun when we're a bit,
We do,
when we're a
don't
bit
we?
sleepy at 9 a.m.
It's
yeah.
good. It's good. I
It's
enjoy
two,
it.
It's two. You've got 2 yeses.
You got 2 yeses. 2025.
Trying to be Simon Cowell.
Don't do that
so-
again.
Bringing in the new
I was
yeah.
trying to do a Simon Cowell, like, you know, he's like, you've got 2 yeses. Oh, it's yeah. Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go on,
that's
go on then.
Queen. This one is an angle. This is a more focused-ish angle.
Okay.
There is one later on, but I think it benefits, hopefully, like the whole of something. But this one is just an angle between two people I'd like to see. And it's an angle involving Ludwig, Kaiser, and the Ring General. Gunther.
Okay.
So as we stand right now, here on the 11th of December...
New Year's Day, Andrew.
But on the 11th of December, whilst recording this, just in case things change, because things might change, we're seeing interesting developments in both Gunther and Ludwig's characters at the moment. So we're starting to see the cracks form in the armour of Gunther. Many of his wins since and even when capturing the World Heavyweight Championship have had interferences in some form or another, not to mention him losing to WWE champion Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. He didn't get that ring, did he? No. All of this seems to have knocked the World Heavyweight Champion's confidence a little bit. Not that he's admitted it, though.
Oh, he started to, actually.
Oh,
A little
he
bit.
has,
Had a few
yeah.
weeks, yeah. He
He
had a
was
wobble.
annoyed at Balor and he went, look, I'm having a bad time and I didn't need your help.
Okay.
He has
This
sort
was
of-
written before Raw.
Okay.
Apologies.
He has sort of acknowledged it, but
Yeah.
he still wants to protect. He still wants to be like, I'm a big tough man.
Yeah. So then this leads into Gunther recently telling Kaiser to go off and be his own man, to which Ludwig has done, as we've seen. He's inserted himself into the IC title picture, and he's become more vicious and ruthless in his pursuit for gold. And although he has lost in his pursuit thus far, maybe he wins it on this coming up Raw. Who knows?
He didn't get pinned in the triple threat.
He didn't get pinned in the triple threat. But where Gunther feels as though he's losing confidence even in victory, Kaiser has been gaining his as he finds his footing as a single star through his shortcomings. So I propose that Kaiser wins the IC Championship in 2025 by beating Bron Breakker, a man that Gunther also hasn't beaten before. Oh, in fact, Bron beat Gunther back in the NXT days. And beginning a dominant and productive reign as IC champion. But on the flip side, Gunther loses his World Heavyweight Championship, perhaps maybe to John Cena at WrestleMania 41. The story being there that this is the biggest test for both men at this point. So Cena's in his retirement tour. He's not only looking to get that 17th world title accolade and break the record in a finite amount of time, but he hasn't won a televised singles match since 2018 either.
Oh, he's crap.
Oh, yeah, he's pretty rubbish. Gunther, with his waning confidence, would also be facing his biggest challenge, going up against an icon like Cena, who has everything to lose at the same time. It's like a huge moment for him to prove to himself that he's worthy of being the World Heavyweight Champion. So after John emerges victorious from an intense and close back and forth at WrestleMania, Gunther shakes Cena's hand in a show of respect. And on the Raw after Mania, Gunther makes his way to the ring. He praises Cena for being the better man and besting him over the weekend. It wasn't luck. He isn't undeserving. He gave it his all, and he's a man worthy of that championship and his legendary status. And this brings out Ludwig, who saunters to the ring after successfully defending his IC title at WrestleMania 41.
Against Goldberg.
Against Goldberg, that's the one. Gunther congratulates Kaiser and says he couldn't be prouder of his friend and brother. And when Gunther told him to do better, he did do better. He stood on his own 2 feet and made something of himself, as he's now a champion, building a legacy he can be proud of. And we've seen that brotherly stuff happen recently on Raw as well. They had the little backstage bit and everything. Ludwig says thank you to Gunther. And as the two have a little huggy in the ring, oh, that's nice. Kaiser lands a low blow. On the former World Heavyweight Champion, and it sends him careening backwards as Kaiser traps Gunther's arms in the ropes and just follows up with vicious big boot after vicious big boot. It's like a beating that we'd never seen before.
I thought you were going to say just repeated low blows.
Repeated, he makes his wheelie bleed. It's that vicious.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking it's a vicious beatdown that we've never seen before.
When wrestlers put up a selfie of their chest after a match with Gunther, he puts up
a widgie pic.
Look at my bleeding willy.
There you go. Look at my bleeding willy.
This is disgusting.
That's not what I've pitched, though. Okay?
And everyone's like, this is not what the business should be.
He's booting him in the face until Gunther's busted up. And it's a beating that we've never seen Gunther take before in WWE. And Kaiser says, thank you to Gunther for reminding him who he is. Gunther once asked Kaiser whether he still saw the old ring general, to which Ludwig said yes, but in reality, it was a lie all along. Kaiser saw nothing but fear, which made him realize that without Ludwig, Gunther was nothing. All these years of chastising, beration, belittlement was holding Ludwig back, keeping him in check because Gunther always knew Kaiser's potential, but Gunther let the mask slip. He grew complacent as champion, realizing that the only reason he held the titles for as long as he did was because of Ludwig. He couldn't bear to think that that was the case, so Gunther tried to prove to himself he was still the same old ring general, but secretly he knew all along. And if it wasn't Ludwig helping him, it was always someone else, like your Finn Balor's and everybody like that, interfering. Kaiser says when he looks in Gunther's eyes now, he doesn't see the old ring general at all. He sees nothing but a broken man whose kingdom was built on the roads that Kaiser built. Ooh, big feud between them two next year, please.
It's a yes from me. Really like it. It's not just what I want to happen, it's what I think might happen as well. Yeah. Maybe not exactly that way, but definitely some form of it. I'm giving it a yes, even though it seems to be setting Kaiser on his way to becoming a future world champion.
Yes.
And that would prove Fraser right over me. That's our current
You
war.
don't think he would be eventually?
I scoffed at Fraser once when he went, that guy's a future world champion. And I went, okay, Fraser. But it looks like Fraser could be right.
Maybe, I think so.
Fraser will be right.
Fraser will be right.
Fraser's always right.
Hi, everyone.
Fraser's never right.
I'll have to just take that on the chin. My issue was more with the sheer confidence with which he predicted it.
Yeah.
But not the prediction itself, which I think is probably quite a sensible one. Yeah, it's a yes from me.
Thank you.
I like also. Oh, do I like it or not?
Oh.
The Cena stuff. It would be a big moment at Mania, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then.
Yeah, we're in here for a good time, aren't we, as
A
wrestling
good
fans?
time.
And I was thinking, maybe John Cena beating Gunther, of all people, is not the best thing to do. But then I remembered Hulk Hogan in 2002. There'll be vibes of that notion, won't it? Vibes of that notion.
With probably
Vibes of
better
that
wrestling, though.
Better and
Yes.
I don't know, because Cena was knackered, wasn't he, against Theory?
So was Hogan.
He was like that, walking up the ramp.
Remember Undertaker's chokeslam to Hogan?
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
Cena's match with Solo, he did all right.
Well, he just
Oh,
Well, he just had
got thumbed in the
he
neck
just got-
about 50 times, didn't he?
He just got battered,
just did
yeah.
that.
Oh, that thing that he does. Yeah.
End it. So yes from me. It's a good time from start to finish.
Thank
I think
you.
Kaiser, that triple threat match in Survivor Series was like his arrival. Hello
Yeah,
there.
I
I'm a
agree.
main event boy potentially.
I guess at one point, I think people were sort of talking about earlier in the year that, Kaiser could go off and be a big babyface with the way that Gunther was treating
No,
him and
he
everything.
could never be a
But I
babyface.
agree. I think
He's a massive see you next Tuesday.
I think he's so much better as a heel. And I think like the twist of him becoming the heel and then Gunther and then like ousting Gunther would be quite fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
Yes.
see that as well. I'd be interested to see how babyface Gunther would go. It doesn't have to last for
We've
ages, though. He can be.
We've seen it over the last few
Yeah,
weeks.
like
haven't
on
we?
Raw,
Well,
you kind of like
yeah.
peppered it, but then he goes back on it and like.
He could.
and
He can
lariats.
always. They can always easily turn him back heel. Yeah.
Yeah. He wore jeans this week. That's a
not
big
like
babyface move.
That's not
right
respecting the massive he
there.
walks
Oh
on.
no!
So American.
Shooting like a pub.
My first one's another. It's more similar to Ross's, where it's like a. Actually, no, it's somewhere in between your two. It's somewhere. It's like it's about a specific thing, but it's in sort of vague terms. I'd like WWE to swap the roles of the two main titles around in the men's division. I'll explain. Not necessarily swap the brands around that the belts appear on necessarily, but the roles of either belt. We're recording this before Saturday night's main event, so if a certain result happens, this could already actually be underway. I think the WWE title should be what I've put as, in quotes, the current belt, the one that reflects the current top talent in WWE who are all battling it out and appearing on TV most weeks. Gunther, Jacob Fatu, maybe eventual NXT call-ups like Obafemi and Trick Williams if they continue to demonstrate the potential they have. And as I alluded to just before, posh note here, maybe Kevin Owens is the key turning point here. If Owens beats Cody, I think he could be the key transition between these two roles for the WWE title. While if someone like Punk or Rollins or Roman were to be the one to end Gunther's World Heavyweight title reign, then that belt could become like the super championship, the one that the more legacy belt of the two. Then we could see the world title held by these big unbeatable champions for long reigns, people who've already reached the top in WWE anyway, like Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and maybe we can now include Cody Rhodes in that as well after his long reign. The reason for this is because I think these big pre-existing main event talents don't need the history and the prestige of the WWE title. They've all held it before. If Cody were to ultimately drop this belt he's got now to someone like Roman or even like The Rock, this could result in the belt still being shut off to 90% of the roster for however many more years. But more up-and-coming names, or even those who are big names who've never held it, like Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, whoever, could really benefit from winning it. It'd feel like a big career landmark in a way that I don't think the World Heavyweight title necessarily does. It's a landmark and it's a world title, but it's not the WWE title, is it? At the same time, with mega names like Roman and Punk vying for the world title, that would then come to be regarded as important in its own special way too. There we go.
I see what you're saying, Holmes. I do. I see what you're saying. I didn't know how to.
Eamon?
No, not Eamon.
Eamon Holmes.
He meant like home.
I know, I'm only having you on.
We're all home dogs, aren't we? We're all
bros.
homers. Yeah, of course.
I see what you're saying. My G. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I think it does because it still doesn't have that feeling, does it? Hasn't got the aura, the riz.
It took a big hit for me when it was the whole Cody wanting to go for that one for a few weeks when The Rock came along and Cody was like, remember when Rollins was like, do you want to go for that work rate belt? And I thought, that's not the one he wants.
No.
And I'm so relieved that it didn't end up being that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never thought about this, but yeah. I get you.
Thank you.
I like it as well.
Yeah.
And I think you're right as well. I think it's good to do that in terms of the people who have never held the WWE Championship before. I think it would be a really nice way to expand that lineage and have like new people hold that title, because I think you're right. When it's on certain people, it feels like there's only certain people that can take it from them.
Yeah. And
whereas,
that's fine to a degree.
Yeah, for sure.
You want it to be exclusive, but it feels like currently all those people who could win it, they've already won it before and held it for a long time.
Yeah. So it would be nice to have a little bit of a shake-up. So it's a big yes from me. That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ross.
It's time for my AEW pitch, which means that someone's in the comments right now going, here's my pitch for 2025. Shut down the company.
Oh, it's a yes for all of us. Take that, Tony Khan.
Let this one unfold. Tony Khan proved in the first 2 to 3 years of AEW's existence that his booking instincts are on point and he can do good things.
He can.
Now, we live in a world where I heard Dave Meltzer, I know he gets things wrong from time to time, but he has got scope behind the scenes in AEW. He's saying that wrestlers are now calling matches and Tony Khan is just saying who wins and loses. The recent Mina Shirakawa versus Emi Sakura match was brought up because it was an even match, because obviously Mina has a lot of respect for Emi, but in terms of storyline and Mina going for the title and Emi Sakura not being anywhere really on the AEW roster, it shouldn't be 50-50. It should probably be a squash match for Mina. But apparently they're calling matches now the wrestlers, and that just shouldn't be a thing, in my opinion. It feels like, as well, on top of that, too many times a month we see one of these WWE legend contracted people who are never going to say anything good about AEW say something bad about AEW on the podcast, and then AEW do something to react to that on their show, even though a large chunk of their audience watching AEW haven't seen the podcast the detractor said they're detracting things on to begin with.
Yeah.
I love AEW promos from your Copelands, your Harwoods, etc., etc. Then the Moxley storyline, which I'm a big fan of, but it feels like at points we're being force-fed the notion that AEW is a great place to work, when instead, we're supporting that thing anyway because we're watching the show, we're investing in the angle. I want to see Orange Cassidy, for example. Not saying I'm getting emotional, speed by AEW.
Oh, it's okay.
I don't want to see him going like, I love AEW, I'd be nothing without AEW. I want to see I'm a badass, tough man, and I'm going to be the guy to take down John Moxley. He doesn't say that, does he? He says, AEW's great, and I'm going to fight for them.
I wish the angle was a bit less self-conscious.
Yes.
We've got to protect this utopia of wrestling where it doesn't need that,
we're supporting AEW anyway, we're watching the show.
Yeah.
I want AEW to focus on what the people who are willing to buy their tickets with their own money want to see, not creating reactionary stuff created by bad faith people in the media and the like. Off the back of this, I want to see AEW get its identity back as the true alternative to WWE. And by that, I mean stop doing purposeful bad sports entertainment segments that spoil the feeling of a show that is spoilt for choice when it comes to good in-ring, more straight down the line wrestling action, which I think is the identity AEW want to go down, largely, by and large. Block out the noise, Tony Khan. Get back on track. Get off Twitter.
And I think the thing that would link your two ideas there would be that Tony Khan maybe needs to kind of have more help around him.
Yeah.
Some people who've got a handle on wrestlers and how they're calling their matches, but also people who can stop him from reacting quite personally to things. That he doesn't. Yeah.
Because back in the very early goings of AEW, the booking committee was Tony Khan, Cody, Brandy, Kenny, the Young Bucks. And when they tried stuff that didn't work, the Nightmare Collective comes to mind. They just scrapped it and moved on to something that did work. And that was the good thing about AEW. They listened to the fans who were watching the show. Oh, we're not quite connecting with this angle. Let's stop it and do something else. Now, it's just like whoever says something on Twitter, oh, let's do something to have a go back at that, when so many people haven't seen the stuff on Twitter to begin with anyway. It's getting in the way of making a good show. And I just we need to get back to 2019 AEW, 2020 AEW, 21 AEW. Come on now.
We need to restore the feeling.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say that, but that's
No, I agree. I think a big issue with AEW is getting bogged down too much in that sort of stuff. Even if you know, I have seen, for example, what Eric Bischoff said or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that I need to see it addressed on the next thing. No. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the audience who haven't seen it, and I don't even think it really impresses the audience too much who have seen it either. It feels like point scoring.
Yeah.
Just focus on your own product.
And you don't want to be told over and over again, this is a great place to work, because you get the feeling like if we sat here going, oh, Cultaholic is fantastic, it's a wonderful place to work, you're going to stop believing us after a while.
Yeah. or just
isn't it a great place to work?
Yeah, it's so good.
and just like, don't use that noise after. Also, oh God, what was I going to say there? And your point about the sports entertainment stuff, I'm guessing like one of the big examples would be like, hey guys.
I didn't want to say get Jericho off the show, but it is getting to the point where get Jericho off the show is a thing that needs to happen.
This is going to be, because I think this is the year that his contract's going to be up.
Is it really?
Oh.
If I remember rightly, it's like midway through 2025 at some point, and that's going to be a big.
Time for that Netflix Mulan.
That's going to be it's also going to be a big sign of whether Tony has balls or not.
I was gonna say, that could be an addendum. Tony growing some bollocks again and just telling people where to go. Like back in the Nightmare Collective, I'll use it again. It wasn't working, so they stopped it. If that was Jericho and his angle wasn't working, it feels like Tony Khan isn't capable or doesn't want to go. No, Chris, this isn't working. Let's stop doing this.
Yeah.
He's just like, go on, Chris. You can have 10 minutes every week. That does nothing for the show or for you.
Yes.
I think I like it. I like it. It's a yes from me. And again, I guess, and it's an obvious one. An example of that would also be the Adam Cole and MJF stuff at the moment that just doesn't seem to be hitting. Even the crowds in the arenas just aren't buying it either, for at least what it seems like from watching on TV. And it's something that I think needs to be. Maybe it doesn't need to be addressed. Maybe we can just like pivot it into a different thing. And then when we find something that seems tangible to tie it back round to, we can get there eventually. But rather than just like shoehorn and try and get there as fast as possible to that point, try and make all these things make sense that don't necessarily make sense. And in the long run, like you could potentially harm the television product itself, and then also the people within that storyline at the same time.
I think they have been harmed by it.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
I think that it goes back again to AEW being quite self-conscious, or Tony Khan writing things in quite a self-conscious way, because it feels like every week either Cole or MJF or Kyle O'Reilly or whoever makes some sort of reference to, well, I only turned on you because you were a bad guy at the start, because it really feels like they got hurt a lot by people's criticism saying like, you brought him back and he's a face now. And instead of having to justify it every week, maybe now just cut your losses and just carry on with it and stop being so insecure.
Yeah.
There are parts of AEW that I still very much like, and I don't want to.
Yes.
Oh, you've
no,
got
of
to be
course.
accused
Oh
of
my
it.
God, yeah.
It's frustrating because it's got so much potential.
But it is just like the same issues. Like, because Matthew, I think Matthew's, there's something going on with Matthew in AEW. And each week he can't help himself but have a go at AEW. But there's certain things he does say that I do agree with.
Yeah.
And like that is one of the, it's just get off, just block out the noise and just try and book the best show as possible.
But there is definitely some sort of conspiracy behind the scenes.
yeah, Ethan Page and AEW. There's something Matthew and Botchamania. Two things have gone on there.
Yeah. Nikita Lyon as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Certain targets of his. I just want to know what's gone on.
He won't tell us what he's done with Ethan Page or what's happened with Ethan
What
Page.
does that mean?
He
What
keeps
does
like,
that
like
mean?
every NXT every week. He's like, Ethan Page comes out and I fell asleep. I was so bored. And they were like, what? And he's like, I love Ethan Page. He's brilliant, but like he's been crap recently. And I'm like, what? No, he hasn't.
What's
Yeah.
up with that man? Yeah,
Something's gone on there.
Yeah, something's going on. Something's going on.
We say this to his face, by the way. We're not just.
Oh yeah,
don't worry.
no. Of course.
Love you, Matthew.
Yes.
What's your next pick, Dan?
My,
I can't even talk anymore.
I guess it sort of relates to Chris Jericho.
Oh, is it him being felled like the Sycamore Gap? The tree-learning tree. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Brings up sad memories.
It
but
is
that's
sad
pretty
memories,
good.
yeah.
Was that this year or last year?
This year, wasn't it?
Last year,
Damn it.
2023. The court case it's been postponed twice now.
What? Right.
One of them got attacked, apparently, put in hospital, and then the same guy was ill the second time they tried to do it. So it's
Oh.
been postponed till next year. I hope they get what's coming to them, if they are guilty.
That's what we're gonna sort out in the court case. Oh my God, is it public? You can just go, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Big lads trip to the,
Work
to the
trip.
court.
Few cards in the courtroom.
Yes. Yes.
You sick.
Right. Second one. Negotiations are apparently close for a Ring of Honor TV deal, and of course the idea behind Chris Jericho's second world title reign, as we know, is that having him as the face of the brand will mean more during these negotiations, apparently. However, when this deal goes through and the time is right, which I hope is sooner rather than later, the person to take the title away from him and spearhead this new era of Ring of Honor should be Samoa Joe. Hypothetically, I think the idea is, and it might get backlash, all right, everybody, but calm down, we'll see. The deal goes through, but before Ring of Honor is placed on a network, Jericho is very outspoken in what his vision for his Ring of Honor will be. And Jericho's version of Ring of Honor is, of course, all about himself. You can't spell ROH without Jericho, after all. It's in there.
It is.
It's in there.
It's not in the right order,
No,
but it's in there. Yeah.
well, that's Chris Jericho for
Okay.
you. You know, it's still in there. Jericho wants to turn this dying brand into something that'll thrive and that'll bring viewers back in droves, where Fozzy will play live every evening. Jericho even has a list of 1,004 reasons why Ring of Honor will be the best wrestling show on TV. Period. But fear not, because here comes a returning Samoa Joe to not only restore honor to the name of Ring of Honor, but also, of course, get revenge on Chris Jericho for planting him through that wall and writing him off TV for a good long while. And basically what I envision is that the build-up between the two, not long after the Final Battle pay-per-view this year, where I presume Jericho is going to beat Matt Cardona, I feel like that's most likely a given. And also where I hope Joe actually returns, because the pop in the Hammerstein Ballroom for him will be absolutely off the chains. It leads to Ring of Honor's first pay-per-view of 2025. Does this build between Joe and Jericho, where I believe, which I believe would be Supercard of Honor, and that's where Joe beats Jericho, becomes the new Ring of Honor World Champion, as the show then enters its new TV era. And because Joe, to me, not only feels like the right person to beat Jericho storyline-wise, but as someone who's synonymous with Ring of Honor, he knows the product of Ring of Honor, the heart of the product as well, and what it should be. I know it's not going to be what it once was, because it's a different time and a different company, but I feel like Joe is the person and the reliable person to help move it forward into the thing that I think a lot of us have been hoping that it would become. And then, not to mention as well, Joe being the champion, bringing eyes in as someone that people recognize, being a final boss type character, whilst building younger stars that would eventually go on to dethrone him, feels like a role that just befits Joe perfectly, in my opinion, and in my eyes at least anyway. And that's assuming that he'd like to do something like this, of course, as well. But regardless, I think
That's your pitch, Andrew.
it's something
You can
I
make
would
him do
like to
whatever you
see.
want.
I would like to see Samoa Joe win that Ring of Honor World Championship, build to something with Chris Jericho before maybe the TV deal goes through. So when we get to the pay-per-view that is on TV, he gets there, spearheads this new era, and it's something that we're all just hoping to see it become.
I mean, initially I was a bit worried because we've just talked as part of Ross's pitch about the problems of Jericho eating up time with this stuff that, yes, is deliberately bad, but that doesn't stop it from being bad, even if it's deliberate. But in this case, I think the ends justify the means, in the words of Slipknot.
Oh!
And I think that I think I agree as well. Joe's probably the right person for it. He's arguably the greatest Ring of Honor World Champion of all time.
Oh, yes, baby.
Oh, yes.
Well, yes. No, yes.
Well, who else would you say?
No, I would probably
Bryan
say Joe.
Danielson?
I would say Danielson as well.
Yeah, okay. But he's in the conversation.
Yes.
And I think that as long as I don't know how that sort of thing would impact a TV deal. I assume Tony Khan will go, no, listen, TV guys, we're going to fix that. Don't worry about it. It will get fixed. Don't worry. But I don't know how that would impact negotiations. But it's just a pitch, and I agree with it.
Thank
God
you.
damn it.
God damn it.
I agree with it too, because as Jack said, there is a means to an ends, an ends to a means, a means to an ends, an ends to a means. Because at the minute we've got many mentions of a certain Briscoe brother, which appears to be going nowhere.
Yeah.
Because they were there, and it didn't go the way you would think it would go.
Yep.
And now he's still mentioning the name, and it's not happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, the fact that there's an end is good.
Good.
And it's a very satisfying end as well.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy endings all around everybody.
My ends justifies my means.
Those rascals.
Yes. Mine's AEW as well. How fun.
Oh.
Is it to shut down the company?
It's not, but it's similarly negative.
Oh.
AEW to sign no new wrestlers for the whole of 2025. Brackets. At the very least, no more high-profile ones. Maybe young talent to develop and stuff like that, to train in schools and whatnot. But on TV, no new wrestlers. I got the idea for this pitch off the back of Bobby Lashley beating Swerve Strickland so decisively at Full Gear. I know it might not be the end of their feud necessarily, and hopefully Strickland does get his win back at some point, but the result of that match did not sit well with me at all. Swerve is one of the biggest examples of AEW pushing someone to the next level and really making them a big deal, maybe the biggest example since Hangman Page, which was a while ago now. I didn't mind Swerve losing at Wembley to Bryan because that was a huge moment, and Swerve had a pretty decent title reign up until that point. But the loss to Lashley felt like another ex-WWE guy coming over and being pushed at the expense of long-term AEW projects we've been expected to get emotionally invested in. I know Swerve technically is also an ex-WWE guy, but like he's become a star.
Yeah, he's become himself. hasn't he?
Yes. Other examples, Adam Copeland beating guys like Daniel Garcia when it really felt like his time to win the TNT belt. Soraya coming into, do you remember when she declared a women's revolution? When we were like, oh, women's division's in pretty good shape, actually, Soraya. And then she won the title at Wembley to temporarily, thankfully, derail Toni Storm's momentum. But it could have, I mean, if that had gone badly, we could have never ended up getting the brilliant Toni Storm character stuff that we saw later on. It's not just signings from WWE either. I think we can all agree that maybe Kazuchika Okada hasn't been utilized particularly effectively compared to his reputation when he came in. They were, this is the best wrestler in the world. Now he's a man who says bitch and has a pretty good match about once a month, if that. AEW needs time to settle down and concentrate on its own storylines before interrupting them with the next big signing. Can I just shock you? I'm a big CM Punk fan, but even I can agree that he shouldn't have been allowed into the AEW title picture so quickly. Even if there'd never been any trouble backstage, it still absolutely denied us of a satisfying payoff to Hangman's title reign, which we'd waited for him so long to win in the first place. On the positive side, I think they are doing the right thing by concentrating on people now like Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy in the Death Riders storyline. I'd like to see more of that direction elsewhere on the card, so maybe we can see people like Garcia, Willow Nightingale, even comedy acts like the Outrunners really capitalize on their popularity. Also, just a quick bit at the end, I absolutely do not want the Elite to be the big heroes who stop the Death Riders and save AEW. But that was just a little bonus bit. The main point is that I don't think they need to sign anyone else at the minute. I think it just gets in the way and they need to concentrate on their own storylines. It's similar vibes to your one.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because lots of people get momentum for a few weeks on TV, then that momentum is quickly forgotten about because the attention is shifted to someone who's new.
Yes.
Or someone who hasn't been seen for a while because their momentum was stopped a while ago and then they've been brought back. Yeah, they just need to concentrate on the wrestlers they've got.
It wasn't just Lashley beating Swerve, it was how he battered it. Like, it wasn't a very even match at all, really.
No, like there's still so many people, and obviously, you know, injury and stuff like that can obviously halt momentum. People like Wardlow and Hobbs and stuff as well. They feel like the prime examples of like they should have already.
Scorpio Sky
too, yeah, of course.
The Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah.
It feels like, yeah, you're right. They've got these incredible people on their roster already that should definitely be the ones that are being pushed.
It's a big roster as well.
It is a very big roster.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. There's so many amazing people already on there that I don't necessarily think you need to bring even more in.
And on the other side of it as well, like when they do bring in an ex-WWE person who isn't pushed as immediately as someone like Lashley has been, like Ricochet already is starting to feel like just another member of the roster. Yeah. And then people like Andrade and Miro just end up getting really annoyed. Yeah. It seems like anyway, but yeah. Yes. It was a bit of a negative one there, but a necessary one, I think.
Although I feel like
yes.
I feel like in the thank you, sir. I feel like the comments might mention the fact that Okada's not been around as much because obviously recently had a child. His wife recently had a child, so that's why he's been off TV quite a bit. But
how recently?
I mean, few months.
Fair enough. I mean, maybe it's not just the amount of matches he's having, but the way he's been presented.
I also agree. It's funny, but obviously it's like there is more that this person can do.
Yes.
At the same time.
But I didn't take that into account. Yeah. So fair play.
Just think it because I feel like the comments would probably
fair
mention
play.
that. So.
Yeah.
Astute observation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
My final one's about wrestling as a whole as we enter this new year and this new era of how the wrestling's being presented on the different platforms and whatnot. I've titled this one, Have Fun by All Means, but have fun while being effing disciplined. It's a Neil Warnock reference on the wrestling, which no one ever asked for. Anyway, wrestling has a massive opportunity over the next 12 months to get back to the forefront of popular culture. The WWE heading over to Netflix, which apparently a fair few people are subscribed to. AEW have their new TV deal in the bag and have got their big shows in Australia, the other side of the world, Dallas, to name but a few. That means, in my opinion, celebs be mooching is what I'm saying, you dig? Wrestling needs to make sure it's the right kind of celebrity appearance appearance we get in 2025 because it's coming. The Rock's going to have his connections at Netflix. AEW's going to have, I don't know, Steve Irwin Jr. I've forgotten his Robert Jr. Robert
Irwin.
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy.
Have him on, but he needs to be enthusiastic about the wrestling. Otherwise, we risk going back to the halcyon days of 2010, which I know was in my time away from wrestling, but I've seen going back and watching it, looked absolutely abhorrent to watch with the guest GMs and whatnot on Raw.
Piven.
Yeah, with your summer fests and whatnot. We need to see more celebrity cameos like your Bad Bunnies and your Costco guys from 2024, and less like bloody Sexy Red. And that's nothing against Sexy Red specifically. I'm sure she's a great lad. By that, I mean when someone popular in a different world comes in and is fully engrossed in what we're doing in the wrestling world, it does not make a difference to how the outsiders, the people who haven't watched wrestling for ages, if ever at all, view what we're doing. If someone looks disinterested, not going along with it, people won't stick around because the person they're invested in, who's appearing in the wrestling, isn't effing with the wrestling. I don't know what I'm doing today. And for us as well, the diehards who watch every week, it'll be crap as well because we're just like, oh, why is this arsehole here taking up our TV time? Yeah, so I just want us to be careful. Have fun by all means, but be disciplined in terms of who we allow in.
Yeah.
That's not me saying we have to gatekeep. That's me saying just make sure they're fully on board before getting them on board because it never goes well.
You can always tell when a celebrity is actually a wrestling fan because they're often willing to look stupid or like play along with it. And then you've got people like Sexy Red.
She wasn't even getting the show names right, was she? She was more interested in twerking her bottom than getting anything right on the wrestling and being all flirty with Trick Willie.
Get
Willy
it
Wonka.
sexy. Get it sexy.
Trick Willy Wonka.
Yeah, that's his name.
That's good. I like
that was Lash Legend's secret nickname for him. And he just said it on TV.
Tremendous.
Because she liked, and I quote,
The Willy?
well, it was something to do with chocolate.
Oh.
Andrew, yeah.
He was a dirty boy.
Easy mistake to make.
Wholesome end of that storyline, though, where they agreed just to focus on their own singles.
Are
careers.
they actually in a relationship?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Make it
You
up.
don't know?
I haven't got a clue, no.
Oh, fair
There
enough.
might be, might not be, who knows?
Fair enough. The chemistry was off the charts.
Oh,
Palpable.
Yeah. Palpable.
Yeah. It's a yes from me. Yeah, you've covered all the bases. there.
It's a dangerous time for the wrestling because there are going to be leeches now. It's on Netflix, and you would assume there's going to be a some kind of boom.
That's a good point.
The one in my mind that I keep thinking of for some reason is Lewis Hamilton. I think it's because F1 got big again off Netflix.
What?
That's why. But him just sat there looking bored ringside at WrestleMania or whatever. I had nothing against Sir Lewis. I just... Well, no, come on now. He's the greatest F1 driver. I don't know. But like you say, if we see a similar boom, then it is going to be very interesting to see what happens. Could become very volatile.
I never really thought about it, but I think you're right now that it is... As with AEW, with theirs, and with WWE going to Netflix, there is more of a possibility. It feels more like a given, really, doesn't it? That we are going to get more of these crossovers. And yeah, I think you're right. I think they've done it well in some capacity, but there's always the worry and the risk that they'll bring just someone in just because they're popular with people at the moment who couldn't give a toss about wrestling.
Sexy Red.
Sexy Red.
Yeah,
Try to think the AEW. Mike Tyson, he fell asleep early, didn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas the Costco guys, we were all quite wrong. And you know what? It paid off in the end.
Yeah, and they're coming back.
They're coming
And
back,
they're coming back as well.
They might have already done
boom.
stuff before this
Oh
video goes.
yeah, well, his foot though.
But he's apparently he's rumored to be like appearing at the Hammerstein shows and stuff.
He's gonna
yeah,
get the
buzzing.
Sandman. He's gonna do it like the Sandman through the crowd,
Oh no! Yeah.
smashing cookies off his head and all.
That's not a good
sorts.
idea.
That's a brilliant idea. Come on. But it's a yes from me.
Thank you. Thank you very
I
much.
think you're very, very right on
So
the
I've
money with that one.
Fix the business there.
You have.
You're welcome, everyone.
Final us up, Andrew. Final your pitch up now.
This one is about the transfer window that WWE have recently spoken about. And I've said, I hope that the transfer window isn't necessarily all about just getting the biggest stars onto Raw for the Netflix era, but also helps to genuinely freshen up certain divisions and also help boost the momentum of certain stars who feel like they've hit the ceiling on their assigned brands at the moment. For example, one being Chad Gable on Raw. Although he's formed the faction American Made with the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile, he wants this year felt like a shoe-in to win the Intercontinental Championship, and unfortunately, it feels like that ship has far-sailed.
Isn't it weird, Andrew, how his contract was up in the air?
Yep.
And he might have gone elsewhere.
Yep.
And then when he signed his new deal, the push stopped.
Yep.
Triple H is a bad man.
It
Terrible
sucks.
guy.
He wrestled Cody. He might be coming
He
back.
lost.
He did lose.
He did lose. However, on the SmackDown side of things, in my mind, it feels like the US title division was becoming a bit stagnant, in my opinion. That was obviously up until recently where Shinsuke won the belt. I was like, oh, that is something different. I'm quite excited for that. And I was over the moon when LA Knight won it. And as I've said, as of now, of recording, Shinsuke is the champion. But for a while before that change, we were having the same challenges and the same programs. And it was kind of just like rinsing and repeating. And it felt like, oh, I don't know where the United States division is really going at this point in time. So more viable challenges for those divisions with this transfer window. Chad has done obviously tremendous work, and if they aren't pulling the trigger on him getting the IC title with his new gimmick and his presentation, he'd be amazing as the United States champion. And I think he'd fit in well in that division on SmackDown that feels a little bit lacking at the moment as well. And the same for the Raw tag team titles too. SmackDown tag division seems to be more thriving, even though there's some underutilized teams on SmackDown. Pretty deadly. Where are you? Judgment Day have defended those titles. It's about to be 3 times, but as of writing, it was only 2 times in the over 150 day reign that they are currently having. And obviously, I understand that not everyone we like can be pushed all the time, but there's definitive gaps and weaknesses in certain divisions that I think could truly benefit from the transfer window. So I hope they actually manage to capitalize on that. Obviously, it's about getting certain stars onto Netflix to showcase them and have like the big debuts and all this, that, and the other. But hopefully, it's not just used for that, and it's used to elevate some other divisions that are lacking a little bit at the moment.
This one's a no from me.
Okay.
That's right.
Whoa!
I went there, and that's because I see your game.
My
Andrew.
game?
I think you want the transfer window to elevate your favourites. And while I agree with your favourites, I disagree with the principle of that. So it's a no from me.
You got me. You got me.
I'll give it a yes then.
Oh, thank you.
I don't mind it if someone's lost in the shuffle on one brand and then they go, oh, I've got this wrestler. Would you like him? Oh, I'll swap one with you on the phones with the general managers. I quite like that for a nice, easy get out for someone who's not. Because obviously, if you're going to try and push someone, it takes weeks, if not months.
Yes.
So if you want a quick little, not all the time, obviously. But if for certain people, like I guess Nakamura could have been someone who could have been transferred if that was happening when he made his comeback, that sort of thing, it would work if they'd been given a new coat of paint.
Yes.
Paint of coat. Yes.
Paint of coat.
It's almost convinced me to change mine to a yes now, but for the integrity of this video,
You can keep it as a no, my lad. You keep it as a no.
Oh,
No.
Man. He's bloody done me. He's absolutely done me there. My final pitch is for both major promotions to find a sweet spot between their respective products, because I feel like they may have shifted in quite extreme opposite directions recently, it feels. Stuff like number of matches on a pay-per-view. I'd like to see 6 to 8 matches on a pay-per-view. WWEs are far too slow and sparse, and it doesn't always feel like value for money. Often it feels like you're watching an advert for WWE instead of watching WWE. AEW has far too many matches, and it makes it hard for anything to stand out as truly special on the show. Not always, because I think every single AEW pay-per-view, the roster is so talented that it can't help but have a few good matches on it. But I think that, the last one, Full Gear, was a good example, just because there's so many singles matches in a row that if you watched any one of them individually, you'd be like, oh, that's a really good match. Matthew was saying this on the podcast. But on the night itself, a lot of them bled together. I'd also like for AEW to prioritize unique storylines up and down the card over having crazy matches up and down the card. Not as many people will really remember if Commander and the Beast Mortos have a ridiculous match on a pre-show, because we haven't been made to care about it long term. Likewise, WWE have improved in terms of their storytelling, but need to allow their roster a bit more in-ring freedom. They've got an incredibly talented roster, but it feels like they want nearly everyone to wrestle the same way. Weirdly, apart from like Sheamus, he gets to go out and have like really fun, entertaining matches that are slightly different. Triple H knows how to book a patient, slow burn major feud, but sometimes the end point, the matches can fall a bit flat, maybe by going too long or featuring the very obvious dialogue bits. So I think both promotions need to shuffle towards a midpoint because they've both gone in extreme directions. Also, this doesn't really fit, but also they should both prioritize women's wrestling more probably. WWE are ironically doing a great job of this, but then key injuries and stuff have hampered them, and now Triple H just doesn't seem to care as much. It's a bit weird. Same with the men's tag division. I gave that a no as well. So. AEW likewise, and the same could probably be said of their tag division as well.
Yeah.
But the main point was just squeeze a bit.
Find that midpoint.
That sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I still think it would be interesting to experience, because obviously in this job we can't experience like a wrestling pay-per-view as a fan. We always have to watch it, taking notes and working and whatnot. I would love to experience a WWE show with a group of friends with a few cans. So I imagine those breaks give you a chance to go to the kitchen, go to the toilet, this, that, and the other.
Roll up a J.
Smoke a big fatty for that pimp daddy. So I imagine you don't actually notice the adverts that much when you've got other stuff you could be doing, whereas we're sat there going, oh, I can't wait to make notes on the next match and give it 5 stars.
I think...
Is that me?
Yeah.
Oh, did you hear that, Joel? Did you hear that?
It's all of us here.
Okay.
We all have our opinion.
Okay. No, you're right. It would be interesting to know what that's like. I bet it is better. I bet it is better when you,
But I do, it's a yes for me, those, yeah.
It's a yes from me as well. I feel like I'm a little bit guilty of sort of, because me and Adam get to do the live streams for the WWE stuff. And
how do you use the breaks?
go for a wee.
Right.
On a stream?
Yeah, sometimes you got to let it go.
Oh, I just piss where I'm sat.
Oh, no. But I've said this a few times before as well. Like, I agree. Maybe I'm contradicting myself, but I agree in terms of, like, I think there should definitely be some more matches on there to develop some other things. But then the matches that they usually have on the PLEs are the matches that have had the biggest storylines building to them.
True,
so you get to, like, they get to have the blow off, or they get to have the next
spotlight.
development.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then when you get to Raw, you've got maybe like the Intercontinental Championship main event or something like
that's
that.
a good point. That's a good
shines a good spotlight on it. But I think you're right at the same time, like, value for money for the people who have bought the tickets, like, they would probably want to see a few more matches rather than a lot of adverts like being shown and stuff like that, you know?
I wouldn't even necessarily mind it, maybe, if the gaps weren't as obtrusive.
Yeah.
Disrupt the flow of the show. At least, but as Ross said, that's our own viewing experience, and it can change depending on how you watch it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, on the AEW side of things, I think you're right. I think more condensed, not like drastically or anything like that, but a good few.
They need to be agented better, which goes back to one of Ross's pitches where, like, you've got people on the first few matches of the show doing everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And by the time it gets to the main event, sometimes the main event's actually suffered because everyone's seen everything.
You've seen it all already. Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the same type of finishes. I remember there was one show in particular where there was, like, a foreign object caught by the ref or something, and it happened in, like, 4 matches or something crazy like that.
Despite having too many matches in the card, they still do a good job of, like, having that one thing you remember from the show.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
is obviously some sort of assault or murder attempt.
Often it's bloody, yeah.
But they still do a good in the field of matches. They still do a good job of having that one thing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I guess, but it still needs a couple less. Maybe a kickoff show with 1 match.
Yeah,
instead of
for
4.
sure. Yeah.
There's just so many issues with wrestling in the world today, and we have solved but a few of them. What was that outro I was trying to do there?
That was good.
Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and you know what? Why not leave your ideas to fix wrestling in 2025 in the comment section down below? I hope everyone's had a great festive period and a great new year.
Yeah.
I don't know what, normally I go like, the pay-per-view's coming out this weekend, but it's a while until the Rumble now. About a month.
February?
Oh, yeah, Feb. Beginning of Feb.
Plenty of time to build towards it. Thanks very much for watching. Thank you to Ross and Andrew as well for joining me on the video, and we'll see you very soon.
But always remember,
Life's a
the
pitch,
pitch, and then you die.
Thank you for remembering that.
That's okay.